Well, hi, everybody. I'm Bill Whittle, and this is Afterburner. I just got back from a speaking engagement at lovely Oberlin College in Ohio, which, if not the most liberal of liberal arts schools in America, well, it's certainly on the podium. I certainly don't want to sound ungrateful because I am far from ungrateful. It was a great opportunity, and the Oberlin Republican Club, population anywhere from 3 to 12 depending, the membership and the faculty sponsors just couldn't have been nicer people or treated me any better than they did. But spending a few hours walking around campus on the afternoon before my speech on core conservative values really woke me up to the state of intellectual vitality in the heart of liberalism today. What woke me up was just how strongly everything I saw and read tried to put me to sleep. It really was uncanny, because a walk through Oberlin is a walk through liberalism, and it was jaw-droppingly apparent to me that a walk through liberalism is a walk through the past. Now, my first stop was the larger-than-life cutout of Super Obama, the light worker, the great uniter. Honestly, does anyone who's watched this man shrink and deflate to his natural size still believe this stuff? Well, some do, apparently. I heard mumbled deprecations of Romney as a billionaire and a businessman. What America needs right now, after decades of fiscal insanity accelerated beyond all measure by the man in the cape, is a businessman. Hey, anyone who can add and subtract competently at this point would be a major plus. And by the way, looking at this cutout never gave me the sense that was an O on his chest. The man who promised to be the great uniter has divided this country in a way it has not been divided since the Civil War. This wreckage that you see out there in places like Detroit, not too far away from Oberlin, is what happens to prosperity and decency when you divide by 0. I saw a women's study building where men are not allowed to enter because men are violent and intolerant. And when I asked, I found out that there had been an all-male fraternity, but it closed several years ago because they got tired of having their windows smashed and their walls defaced by violent and hateful graffiti. You know, I saw the same kind of old-school reasoning in the library, which was filled with a display of Marxists fighting for freedom of speech in New York City early in the last century. Early in the present century, there is a vigorous attempt to limit free speech at Oberlin campus because people may use free speech to hurt someone's feelings. The posters of me, the ones that were behind the glass, well, they were still there, but the ones up on a bulletin board had been taken down by someone determined that for $56,000 a year, they were going to leave college with less information than they had when they entered it. Apparently, when Dick Cheney spoke there, unions erected a giant inflatable rat outside of the building and tried to shout him down while he was talking. And I need to work harder, much harder, apparently, since I didn't warrant an inflatable rat from the unions. 5 unions, I'm told, are officially represented on campus, but ROTC, you know, those same-aged people who are willing to give their lives to defend free speech from Marxism while denying it to people like themselves, well, that's nowhere to be seen in Oberlin. Banned, no doubt, the way that fast food restaurants are banned from a 1-mile radius. College students, the best and the brightest liberal minds from around the country, indeed around the globe, are not capable, apparently, of being able to feed themselves without adult supervision. But the most telling example, and I heard all of this anecdotally, understand, was of a new building that was supposed to be energy positive. In other words, through extensive use of solar cells and other very expensive engineering niceties, this building would generate more energy than it consumed, thereby showing the rest of the Hicks and the Rubes how to save the planet from fiery ruin. Only it didn't. It didn't generate more energy than it consumed. And that summed it up for me. One building, a model building, an ideological bludgeon with whatever money needed to make the case, still could not accomplish what these people, famously including Captain Zero, plan to do to the entire country. I also learned that the guys who got shouted down the loudest were the guys who were promoting fracking, you know, taking the virtually unlimited, virtually free natural gas that's beneath our feet and using it to burn as clean as any carbon fuel on the planet. Well, and finally, during the Q&A after the event, I spent a half an hour with a young white kid who was telling me what it was like to have the black experience in America, after I'd had the temerity to say that affirmative action was racist and demeaning. And the thing that kept hitting me again and again and again was that this was exactly the same pablum that had been poured into my ears when I was a freshman at the University of Florida in 1979. It was 33 years ago, and even then, it was old school. It was exactly the same message as if I'd been there in 1962. So there I was in 2012 arguing with a fresh-faced kid who was saying the exact same things as other fresh-faced kids did 50 years earlier, and as if nothing had happened ever since then. No new evidence, no new failures, no new successes, nothing. The exact same message. And then I realized that while the right has minds like Thomas Sowell and Victor Davis Hanson and Stein and Rush and Beck and all the others, and the accumulated wisdom that the founders refined out of 7 millennia of language and culture, and policies reflecting new energy technologies and an information age economy where I can stand and order steel from China using a device the size of a notepad, well, the left has these same failed ideas from about a 20-year window at the end of the 19th century that have never worked, don't work now, and will never work. And this clinging to an ossified, discredited model based on envy and resentment has killed no less than 100 million people. And many people call this progressive, as they cover themselves in glory, but not in the blood or the failure.